All right, welcome back. So this section is a little different. It's basically a home for the various components that I haven't covered yet. So unlike most of the other sections where there's a lot of deliberate thought into the ordering and I tried to introduce things in a way that made sense, these components are just grouped together because they are small, sort of standalone things with niche uses, or I just don't like them very much myself. That doesn't mean that they're not worth knowing. It's just that they're not maybe as fundamental as something like, the grid system or forms or nav bars. So the first one of these components is the badge, Bootstrap badges. So on the docs, you can find them right here. I should note there are some other components I'm not introducing here because in the next section, I'm going to talk about JavaScript components. So things like alerts will come up then. So the badge or badges are just a way of labeling text essentially, often used for counts like numbers, notifications, chat messages, whatever, number information you could put inside of a button or a heading. Those are the most common places to put them. So we can do, it's really simple. Basically, you give something a class of badge, usually a span, and then you give it a color. So this is the secondary color. Once again, I have a new empty file. So we can just do some practice down here. Let's do, an H3, and we can just write, inbox, and then add a span with the class of badge, and we need a color, so badge primary. And then in there, let's put a number like 49. And there we go. That's our first badge. And if we change our H3 to be display 1, for example, the badge grows with it. That's kind of gross to have it be that massive, but it works. I'll just go back to a regular badge or regular H3. So we can change the colors. We can do badge primary, badge secondary, and let's do warning. There we go. So we have different badges, or different colors, We can also do them inline inside of a button instead of an H5 or some sort of heading. So here's an example of that. Let's make a button and give it a class of BTN. Let's do info and also BTN. And then in there, let's say messages maybe, or fine, we'll do profile. And then a span. And that span, we need to give a class of badge. And then we could do whatever color we want, but usually if you have a dark, like on a button that has a color on it, you want the badge to stand out. So we would do probably light. And then in there, we'll put a number like 73. There we go. I don't know what 73 means, but we have 73 there. Something worth noting, they address this on the docs. This span on its own that just has a number in it is not very meaningful to somebody who is using a screen reader. So they put this here. Unless the context is clear, consider including additional context with a visually hidden piece of additional text. So that's what they do here. In this case, there's a span that has a class of SR, screen reader only, and it says unread messages. So without that, it's kind of unclear what this 9 means next to the profile if you are using a screen reader. Now we can tell, looking at it, probably what it indicates, but it's just worth noting. Okay, so these are all the different colors. Same old story, boring colors. We know them by now. The only other thing I should point out is that we can do what are called pills. So this is just to change the shape so that your badge has rounded edges. So we could do one up here. Instead of warning, let's do danger. And then we do badge pill or pills. Is it pills or pill? I think it's singular. There we go. And you get that rounded corners. And that's honestly all there is to badges. The last thing I'll show is that you can move them around. So in this case, if we have this H1 that goes all the way across, it's a block level element. If we set it to be display flex, if you wanted to, or it's actually an H3. So let's do this bottom one here. So we set it class equal to display or deflex, excuse me. Okay. Then from there, I now have all this space available to me to distribute things. So if I wanted to move this all the way over to the right, one option would be to write justify content between, which is going to spread out that space. And now, this is massive, so it doesn't look very good. But if this were inside of something smaller, like a card, or inside of a list group, which I think that's where we saw it. Was that where we saw it? With a badge? No. Yes, here. This sort of thing. So if it's inside of a list group and you want them all to be on the right side, those badges, you can use display flex, justify content between. So I will copy that over so that we have it and paste this down here. And there we go. We can use badges anywhere we want. They're just spans that have some fancy stylings on them. Okay,